I Am Legally Hype is a TikTok star who's gone viral with her rapid fire commentary on political, social, and global issues.
Listen to how she explains the Amir Locke case and the Minneapolis Police Department's no-knock search warrant.
So now little homies from SP, little homies from NE, they get ready to go bust this move, right? So when they go get to bust this move, this the thing though. If you was getting beat up in high school or you was the last person to get picked for the dodgeball game, you do not need to apply to be on the police force because they're going to hire you. They're going to hire you. And this is the thing about it, like, I ain't even trying to be mean, but if you ain't had no hair on your chest before you got on the force, I promise you your uniform don't come with one. So that's the thing. One little homie, he didn't have no hair in his chest when he bust up in that play, right? And what happened was when he got into the play, he thought he saw a ghost. And I'm going to tell you right now, he didn't see one then, but I bet you he see one now.
That's just a portion of your explanation of no-knock warrant. We played yesterday a longer version, which is a great explainer on the crisis in Ukraine. But joining us now is TikTok's I Am Legally Hype, A.B Burns Tucker. She also works at the entertainment law firm Doniger and Burroughs. I appreciate the energy you're bringing to this conversation because so much about policy ends up being dry details and facts. So how did you stumble upon talking about complex policy issues on TikTok?
Honestly, I had been doing content for a while and I realized like I was kind of code switching a little bit because I couldn't really find my voice. And one day I was just like, I'm just gonna say it like I would talk to my friends. So when I did it, like I didn't think it was gonna be as big as it was, but I was like, I'm gonna just have this conversation as if I was having a conversation with my friends. And like people loved it. Like the world was like, this is what we've been needing. Like I didn't understand politics before this. And yeah, it just went from there.
You know, you just said something really key there. People didn't understand politics before this until they started listening to you. So you've reached and tapped into an audience of people that probably would have never known what's going on in places like Ukraine or what's happening with, no-knock warrants. What compelled you to do it, and what's the satisfaction you're getting in making your message heard and known and educating people in the process?
For one, I mean, I'm a poli-sci and criminal justice major, right? I have my bachelor's in poli-sci and criminal justice. I have my master's in like criminology, law, and society. So I've been indulging in the so-called like boring material for a long time, right? And so I remember talking to my brother one day. My brother, he was wrongfully convicted and he's in prison. But we were speaking one day, and I remember him saying like he didn't really feel value in himself because he didn't understand the world, before he started reading books and things like that. And I remember like having that conversation with him, and I was like, okay, this is information like I have to bring to the world because clearly people aren't getting it and they're not hearing it. And so that kind of compelled me to start making content to like put out information about, like I started doing like wrongful conviction information and like information about prisons, but there's just so much going on that I pay attention to on a regular basis. And I was like, why aren't we talking about this in our community? Like, why don't we understand these issues? And I feel it's important to bring those issues to our community because they got something to do with us too at the end of the day.
Mhm. Yeah, you mentioned code switching, right? And it's something we all do in different ways. TikTok has its own language. And it has a billion users. So, people like me and, older generations just aren't able to make that switch between these platforms. So who are you really trying to speak to when you engage in policy and political content on TikTok?
Honestly, I think it's like my age group and people who come from where I come from. Like I grew up in the inner city, right? I have a very interesting background. And so it was like I feel like my community were just so everybody's caught up in like the news on the shade room or a couple of clips that they can get on the internet, but they're not really getting the full information. And I feel like that's why we have the issues we have right now in our community. Think about voting, for example. Like people are always like, "Oh, I'm not voting because it don't have nothing to do with me. The government, it doesn't affect me." And it's like, yes, it does. Like if you knew when you go to vote, you could vote for your judge, like the judge that sit on your county benches. Maybe you would pay a little more attention, to what's going on. And so I think just tapping into again my generation, millennials, and even Gen Z, like we are the next up and coming politicians and world leaders and things like that. But if we are not informed and we cannot articulate the information in a way that the younger generation is going to get it, like we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, you make a very good point. In fact, let's look at one of the points that you made in terms of taking a look at the TikTok video you did on the Ukraine-Russia conflict. And people say this one explained the situation better than any news program.
Okay, so boom. We was mad at Big T for being cool with Big Bang P, but Big Bang P just linked up with China. And if I'm not mistaken, Big Bang P is one of the richest men in the world, and everybody and their mama owe China some money, so we might have an issue. But this what happened. Big Bang P was looking at Ukraine, and he like, I like that territory. It's like real close to Russia, and I feel like it belongs to us, so I'm finna come get it. So he didn't move his military close to the border, and he letting them know, like, I'm finna come get it, like, just letting y'all know, right? And so Ukraine is like, we don't know what he's gonna do. So they got their military out there teaching their citizens how to do Taibo just in case they gotta defend themselves. But some of the citizens, they like, you know what? Big Bang P, he is kind of crazy, but he ain't finna bust a grape. And if he do bust a grape, guess what? America gonna come over and help us. But my whole thing is like, I don't know if y'all forgot what happened in Afghanistan, but we was over there for over 20 years and nobody understood the assignment. So personally, I just would not put all my eggs in the American basket. I done seen the type of people that are American military employed, and no disrespect, but y'all need to go to them continuation schools in the hood and go get you some real shooters. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, so Biden done hopped in, right? So Big Daddy Biden, he done hopped into the mix, and he like, look, P, stop playing with me. I know you're trying to be funny because America over here arguing about abortion rights and affirmative action during Black History Month, but I ain't got time for this right now. So if you pull up over there, it's gonna be some smoke, and you're gonna get sanctions. I'm sending you a whole receipt. Like, you're gonna have to pay this bill. And P is like, bruh, let me tell you something. By the look of the inflation in America and y'all homelessness problem y'all got over there, y'all need this money. So go ahead and send me the bill, bruh. I'll pay it in cash. And so at this point, it's out of our hands.
You summed up everything in that. There's so much in that you unpacked, and it just shows that you've been studying it and you know it, and you're not riffing. You're actually telling the straight up truth.
I did my best. I mean, I think
You
in
did
law
your
school,
best.
one thing that we're taught is like, know your audience, one, and two, be concise because the judge doesn't have time, right? Like, he wants to see what he wants to see. And I think, like, especially in the world of like TikTok and 30-second clips and stuff now, like, you only got this much time to like capture your audience. And so I figured like I can put the information out there in a way that people will understand and enjoy and be able to interpret, but also like be informative. Like, so now, like, I've had so many people contact me like, I didn't know this much about politics and now I love politics. And I'm like, yeah, because there's a lot to enjoy. But I guess it just depends on who's giving it to you. So thank you.
Well, I appreciated you talking about Big Bad P and the Taibo, but specifically the shade that you threw at the U.S. military for not understanding the assignment. Your video, I don't know if you know this, has 3.5 million views on TikTok. Maybe you're tracking. We are. It's great. And I would encourage you, if I may, when you were talking about voting rights, there's a lot to dig in there that I think engaging all of us in this dynamic way that you do would be very helpful. So putting in my ask there, A.B Burns Tucker, who works at the entertainment law firm Doniger and Burroughs and is a TikTok influencer. You can find her and follow her under the name Iamlegallyhype. Thank you for joining us tonight.